The anime transformation. One of the most well-known and notorious tropes in the whole industry. Though it mostly only exists in shonen battle and fantasy, it's practically become synonymous with anime itself. It appears in parody, fan art, discussions. It's basically anime incarnate. But what makes a good transformation? Which ones are the best, and which ones leave a lot to be desired? This won't be a tier list. I'll be judging and grading random transformations from anime with a letter grade from F to A. If enough of you like this, I'll do more with other transformations in the future. For now, it's time to grab those red pens for grading and look over the work of these submissions and grade some anime transformations. For our first submission, we have the classic, Super Saiyan from Dragon Ball Z. Everyone knows this transformation, so it gets extra marks for notoriety. It's basically the standard of which most other forms are compared to. On top of that, just about every initial transformation the characters have of Super Saiyan is a well done scene. Goku's stand on Namek, Vegeta surprising everyone in front of the androids, Trunk destroying Frieza right after we saw Goku achieve what was believed to be a miracle. For some time, every moment it showed up was impactful. And though simple, with just raising the hair and turning it gold, the design is very visually appealing and immediately signifies that the form is in use. Because it's simple, it's also easier to animate, and can still look really cool from a distance with that glowing hair. In many ways, Super Saiyan changed anime forever, inspiring many others after to take notes and follow up with their own ideas. However, it must be graded just like everything else, even if it was so impactful. And unfortunately, the transformation has a few downsides. Firstly, it loses a lot of its luster the more the series goes on. Eventually, every Saiyan gets it, making it feel less special, to the point where two children are able to achieve the form without much effort. It also gets bogged down by all the future forms, remembered simply by numbers until the original Super Saiyan becomes completely obsolete. And the powers it offers aren't very exciting, simply acting as an additional power boost. It doesn't add much to choreography because of that. But despite all that, the inspiration and impact it's had on fans, the franchise, and shonen itself cannot be understated. For that, I'll give it a B. Next up, we have Bankai from Bleach. To avoid confusion, since a lot of characters get a Bankai that acts completely different, I'll focus on Ichigo's. For future videos, I'll take a look at some others. Interestingly, Ichigo's Bankai shows up rather early in the anime. The Bankai is built up as a form that only the best Soul Reapers can achieve. Simply having one is basically a status symbol. Because of this, and seeing Ichigo train for the form, seeing him don it in his fight against Byakuya is rightfully hyped up despite showing up early. And the design for it is fantastic. The visuals do a great job explaining Ichigo's power. His blade slims into something very sleek, showing that the form's main update is speed, turning Ichigo into one of the fastest fighters. Not only that, the black coat really adds to the flair, making him look stronger and more capable. The visual language of this design is really great. It loses a few points in that, similar to Super Saiyan, Ichigo's Bankai is more of a boost in power, but he utilizes it in interesting ways, with his sword changing shape, allowing for new fight choreography. Additionally, he continues to evolve the form as the series goes on, taking his experience and other abilities, like his holo powers, to turn it into something new by the end of it. Though there are a lot of other Bankai forms and other transformations that Ichigo has, his Bankai doesn't feel left out, and is rightfully still great to see every time, so I'll give it an A. What do we have next? My Hero Academia has submitted Deku's full cowling form for grading. This form is interesting to grade, because it really isn't much of a transformation, but more of a technique. Still, it does change his body and evolve through the series, so I'll allow it. With that in mind, this form is rather disappointing in some ways, but great in others. The way it's built up and evolves Deku's character is great. Unlike a lot of other transformations, which just happen and are utilized for the character to fight better, Deku's full cowling is a way for him to understand his power, which is something that he wasn't born with. The way he learns to adapt it and how it changes the way he approaches fights make it rather satisfying from a story and character perspective. But it loses a lot of points in the look and abilities. It doesn't add literally anything to Deku's power. In fact, it's a downgrade. He still punches and kicks things, and though he's fast and can maintain his fighting for longer periods, it doesn't change much of what he can do. And visually, it is rather boring. He does sparkle a bit, and One for All is flowing through his veins, but it doesn't add much in the visual department. It does get cool in the fight against Overhaul, where Eri allows him to go all out. This shows that the form can evolve, but in the anime, it hasn't done much besides that. Yes, the manga is farther, but this isn't the manga vault, is it? It's the anime vault, so I'm focusing how it is in the anime. And where it is right now, it does great work for Deku's character, but it gets overshadowed by other anime and even in its own show, forcing me to give it a C. And that is, oh, we have a last minute submission. Interesting. And a very recent one too, I might add. We have Luffy's Gear 5 from One Piece. Seems we've skipped the other 4, though the reasoning for it is because Gear 5 is the ultimate and final form, and of all of the submissions I've gotten today, this is the most impressive. Gear 5 is well built up over the course of many arcs, with Luffy achieving new gears and growing his power as a pirate. Each gear adds new skills, rather than just being a new boost in power, and it changes how he fights, and all of it culminates into Gear 5. And it is starkly different from almost any other form out there. Rather than taking a very cool and badass approach, Luffy's Gear 5 is really goofy, literally adopting the powers of a cartoon character. But because of this, it's so easy to remember and pick out in a crowd of forms. Luffy Gear 5 broke the anime part of the internet, with the episode of Luffy achieving it becoming one of the most watched in Crunchyroll's history. Luffy's design, similar to Ichigo's Bankai, perfectly shows off what he can do. That huge smile plastered on his face, the way his body is even more rubbery, he's basically able to affect the world around him, turn it into rubber rather than just himself, making the fight so different from previous ones, and also making it very fun to watch. Honestly, I don't really have any complaints about this form. In many ways, it's close to perfect, at least for the kind of show that One Piece is. For that, it gets an easy A. Phew, that is all the time that I have right now for grading. I know that's only 4 forms, but we're only getting into the meat of things. I'll take a look at some of the other submissions a lot later, and if you do enjoy this, please let me know in the comments. And, of course, tell me what you think of the grading and what you would grade these forms. There are a lot of anime transformations to get through, far more than I can do in just one video. So, it seems as though these red pens aren't going to be done yet, and in the future, there's going to be a lot more letter grades.